So very good afternoon to the Hyderabad students who've been aspiring to become a young IAS officer or an IPS officer. My name is Abhishek Singh today, and I'm going to tell you about the internal security. So I'm an expert with internal security, international relations, as well as some part of the polity, which I'll be taking at the CSB Hyderabad. Okay, so today we'll be speaking about, we'll be understanding Naxalism. Naxalism, which has emerged as one of the single security threats that India had been facing for a long period of time. Okay, so in Naxalism, what we'll be studying, we'll be trying to understand what is Naxalism, what is LWE, what is Maoism. Then we'll also see into this the regions or the zones affected because of the Naxalism. Then we'll see what has been the ideology, what has been the inspiration. The fourth point that we'll be looking at into it has been the threats and how it becomes an internal security challenge, or how it possesses an internal security crumble to India. Last but not the least, we'll be looking at the solutions and the government initiative, what the government have done in order to curb the Naxal related activities. Now, before moving forward, before telling you more of the Naxalism, one thing which I want to highlight is that India, since the inception of independence, every year, every decade, with the dawn of a decade, India have been witnessing one or more of an internal security challenges that has been arising into India. What I'm trying to tell you is that every decade, India witnessed of one or another form of internal security challenge. Like 1950s has been famous for Northeast insurgency, which started in the modern day state of Nagaland under the leadership of AZ Fizu. 1960s, for that matter, late 1960s has been known for the Naxalism under the leadership of Kanu Sanyal, Charu Majumdar, Kanu Sanyal, and Jungle Santhal. 1970s, for that matter, has India has been going through a problem which is basically Assam turmoil, or the problem in Assam, which is famously the Assam turmoil or the insurgency which has been spreading from the present day state of the Nagaland, and have a domino effect or a ripple effect in the Assam. 80s, for that matter, has been India had been witnessing the Punjab insurgency, or today we also call it as a Khalistan issue. Okay, 1990s, if we see the 90s, India had seen the rise of Jammu and Kashmir militancy. If you see 2000s, from 2000 onwards, India have seen terrorism. India have seen terrorism. From 2010 onwards, India had been struggling from cyber security threats. Cyber security threats. And if we see 2020s, there has been a new terminology which is hybrid warfares. Hybrid warfares. And sometimes they are also called as a gray zone warfares. So I hope I was able to justify that every decade India has been seeing one of the internal security challenges that has been persisting and affecting the country. Say, for example, 50s has been the Northeast insurgency, 60s Naxalism, 70s Assam turmoil, 80s the Khalistan issue, 90s the militancy, 2000s has been India severely affected by the terrorism, 2010 has been the cyber security threats, and 2020 has been the hybrid warfare. Okay, now let us try to understand. First of all, the basic question is Naxalism or left wing extremism. Now, we'll try to understand it from this perspective is, see, today, the Naxals, how the Naxals are representing themselves. I believe all of you are aware something about Naxalism, but how the Naxals are basically, they affiliate themselves. The Naxals today call themselves as a modern day Robin Hood. Why they're calling themselves as a modern day Robin Hood? It's because of the fact that they are seizing the land from the rich class and distributing it to the poor. This is what they believe in. They believe in the social upliftment of the downtrodden. This is what they believe. This was the initial aim, the social upliftment of the downtrodden or the marginalized community. But things have changed very much. Things have changed slightly very much. What has been the real intent initially of the politic of the social upliftment of the disadvantaged section, things have changed to the political revolution or grabbing up of the political power. Today, how the Naxals have been perceiving the government of India. They perceive the government of India as being a feudalist, as being an imperialist, as being a feudalist, as being an imperialist. Let us try to analyze it from some of the former prime ministers and the present prime minister context in the statement of why they highlight it as such a big problem. If you see, the former prime minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, rightly quotes in 2006 that Naxalism has emerged as the single biggest security challenge ever faced by a country. Now, there must be a reason behind that, of why he called that in April 2006 that Naxalism has been the single biggest security challenge ever being faced by a country, because of the fact that in 2006, out of the 500 plus districts, roughly 233 districts have been under the grab or under the control of the Naxals, or directly or indirectly, they've been affected by the Naxal related violence. If we see similarly, during a recently concluded meetings of which is called the Chintan Shivar campaign, headed by Honorable Prime Minister, he says that Naxalism is linked to the pen and the gun. That's a very important thing I'm saying. He says what? That Naxalism is linked to pen and gun. Now, what he's referring to, that's a very important thing. Now, please understand, before understanding what Honorable Prime Minister Modi is saying, they have a very strong tilt towards Maoism. And as per the Maoist ideology, Maoist thinking, and Mao's dictum, the dictum is political power flows out from a barrel of the gun. Like whosoever has the control, whosoever has to seek a control onto the political system needs to be empowered and armed. That's a very important thing. Empowered with the arms and ammunitions. And with the proper arms and ammunitions, they have to do a mass struggle. They have to do a struggle and an organized agitation against the state. That's what it means. Political power flows out from the barrel of the gun. Okay. So now what Prime Minister has been highlighting, he highlights that the Naxalism today has been linked with the pens and the guns. Today, it's not only the guns which gives a strong sense of an identity or a strong sense of empowerment, but today the pens are also doing the basic destruction which the guns can do. You may have heard that pen is mightier than sword. There must be a reason why we say pen are mightier than sword. What has been the reason? Because the pen has a power to shape the opinion, to shape the intellect of the people. Say, for example, if today I'm teaching you about Naxalism, and if I start promoting Naxalism, for that matter, what I'm trying to do, I am trying to manipulate your thoughts. I am using your intellect power and basically trying to do a brainwashing. So the pen has a power of brainwashing. Pen has a power of radicalization. Pen has a power of indoctrination. Okay, so that's why Prime Minister says that we need to uproot all forms of Naxalism. We need to uproot all forms of Naxalism, whether it is linked with the pen or the guns. Okay. Till now, I hope you are getting my point, what I'm trying to tell you, the importance of this. Now, let us try to understand what is Naxalism. Okay. Now, what is Naxalism? Now, see, if we talk about Naxalism, it is not a simple word. It's not a simple word that I can define Naxalism as a rebel or some of the rebellious groups who are fighting against the state. No. Naxalism as such is an organized armed struggle. Okay, it is an organized armed struggle. This is what? It's an organized armed struggle carried by marginalized sections, carried by the marginalized sections or the disadvantaged sections. That's a very important thing. Now, who are marginalized sections or the disadvantaged sections? It may be the SCs, it may be STs, it may be Adivasis, it may be women, it may be unemployed youth. Okay, it may be unemployed youth, it may be peasants and farmers. Peasants and farmers. So please understand this thing again. So I'm just breaking down Naxalism so that you understand. So Naxalism is an organized armed struggle. And who is doing an organized armed struggle? It is being carried by the marginalized sections or the disadvantaged sections. Marginalized sections or disadvantaged sections, particularly the SCs, STs, Adivasis, women, peasants, farmers, youth. Okay, with specialized guerrilla warfare tactics. Guerrilla warfare tactics. Now, third thing is their methodology. Their methodology is highly specialized and they're highly trained in guerrilla warfare tactics. Highly trained in guerrilla warfare tactics. Okay. And they're doing the struggle against whom? They are doing the struggle against state. Who is the enemy for them? The enemy is basically state. Okay, the enemy remains is the state with strong tilt, right? With a strong tilt towards Maoism, which I'll explain it to you very soon, with a strong tilt towards Maoism. Okay. Now, please understand, let us now again integrate of what is Naxalism. So, Naxalism what? Naxalism is basically an organized armed struggle with specialized guerrilla warfare tactics, often being carried out by the marginalized sections of the society, like that of an SC, ST, women, Adivasis, unemployed youth, often against the state, and with a strong tilt, strong shift towards the Maoism or the left-wing extremism. So sometimes we call Naxalism by different name. Like Naxalism is also called as left-wing extremism. Naxalism is also called as Maoism. Naxalism is also called as left-wing terrorism. It is also being called as a left-wing terrorism. Okay, so their objective is what? What is their objective, final goal? Their objective, you need to understand, right? What is their final objective? Their final objective that remains has been to change the democratic system of India, to basically overthrow the democratic system of India and convert it to the communist system. Communist system on the lines of Chinese line of thought, or on the lines of Maoism. The final objective is basically to overthrow the democratic system of India and to maintain a communist system. But at the same point of time, they have basically the ideological inspiration, right? Now, what is the ideological inspiration? The ideological inspiration that remains has been the Maoism. Now, through the ideology of Maoism, they learned three important things. One has been armed struggle, that is raising the arms against the state. One that they learned has been through Maoism, through the ideology of Maoism, they learned three things. One has been the armed struggle that they learned. Second important thing is mass mobilization, that is uniting the people for a social cause. Uniting the people for a social cause, right? Second, third has been the strategic alliances. Third, very important thing that they learned has been the strategic alliances. Strategic alliances. Now, these are the alliances that would be fulfilling their objective. Okay. Now, who is their enemy? Right? Who is their enemy? The enemy for them has been the state. This is what you should be very clear. The state or the symbols or any of the symbol which is related to the state directly or indirectly. Say for example, the schools, the state college, the state machinery, the state police, the state administration, right? Or anything which is related to the state directly or indirectly. Okay, what is the end goal? What is their end goal? Why they're fighting? What has been their end goal? The end goal is basically to have a classless society. Classless society. Okay, a classless society which is egalitarian. This is very important. This is what is they are basically is their goal. A goal is to have a classless society which is egalitarian, where there are equal opportunities for all the people. Not only a classless society. So if we filter down, it also becomes a casteless society, because in the context of India, caste also plays an important role. A classless society as well as a casteless society. Are you able to understand me till now, all of you? Now, see, we often use the three terms which are also used interchangeably with each other. One has been the left-wing extremism. Now, why do we call as a left-wing extremism? And if you have seen the syllabus of the UPSC GS paper 3, left-wing extremism is a term which is officially used by the government of India, particularly the MHA, and that's why we have a division, specialized dedicated division, which is called a left-wing extremism division. Now, it is called as a left-wing extremism, LWE. There is a reason behind that, because the Naxals are influenced by the leftist ideology. They are influenced by the leftist ideology. So ideologies can be of two types. One has been the leftist, second has been the rightist. Naxals are affected by the leftist ideology. So you see, the leftist ideology, the father remains, has been the Marx. So in short, a believer in the leftist ideology is a believer in the Marx, which would subscribe the ideology of Marx, which aims to overthrow the capitalist system and wants to restore the communist system. Okay, so left-wing extremism is why do we call it as a left-wing extremism? Because they subscribe to the uncorrupted Marxist ideology, which seeks to establish a socialist state. Okay, a socialist state, while violently overthrowing the existing capitalist system. Okay, there are many line of thought when it comes to the leftist ideology. Say, for example, one line of thought is of Maoism. Another pragmatic line of thought has been put forward, which has been put into use and practicality, has been the Leninism, which you must be aware of. Okay, another line of thought which also derives directly from the left wing has been the Maoism. Then why it is being called as Naxalism? The reason remains very simple. It is called as a Naxalism because it has the genesis or the origin from a, a village which is called as a Naxalbari village. Now, there is a very small village, Naxalbari village, in the Darjeeling district of West Bengal. Okay, where it is? In the Darjeeling district of West Bengal. We have a Naxalbari village. Now, this was started by the three fountainheads. The three fountainheads, as I told you, the tallest leader that remains has been the Charu Majumdar. Second important leader has been Kanu Sanyal. Third important leader has been Jangal Santhal. Okay, because of its origin, genesis from the region which is called as a Naxal Bari. Okay, called as a Naxal Bari under the leadership of Charu, Kanu, and Jungle, who also became the fountainhead. This is also called as Naxalism. And it is also called as Maoism because of the fact that it clearly and strongly subscribed to the Maoist ideology. Okay, the Maoist ideology, particularly the ideology of Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong. Okay, the ideology of Mao Zedong. Okay, now see, if you try to understand it from more factual perspective, now what has been the status, the factual perspective of the Naxalism? Okay, as per the Home Ministry, as per the Home Ministry, the Naxal-related districts in India, they have come down substantially. They have come down substantially to 46 now only. Okay. Now, if you see, there are only 46 districts in India